Hello, 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 everybody. It is October 22nd, and we are going to continue our series on spiritual transmutation. In a previous video, we talked about what is spiritual transmutation. So now we're going to dig a little bit deeper and to unearth the fire within, turning triggers into transformation. We all have triggers. We're all triggered by something, someone, some incident. It could be work, it could be family, it could be anything. And the same fire that burns can also forge gold. And that's what we're talking about on that same light of alchemy, turning lead into gold. And so, if you remember who you are, that same fire that burns can also forge gold. Welcome back, beautiful souls. I am the Empress. This is the Empress Speaks. And today we're diving into the fire within. We all have it. If you watched the last segment on spiritual transmutation, we had an opportunity to talk about what it is, how we can use that energy, how it moves pain into purpose, and all of those wonderful things. And so, with spiritual transmutation, you know it's about turning dense emotions, heavy energy, heavy emotions into high energy, into something beautiful, purposeful, and something that's a great experience for you. It's about using that alchemy, turning lead into gold. But today we're going to get a little personal. Okay, we're talking about triggers and those fiery moments that show us exactly who we are and the power that's waiting to be reclaimed. With spiritual alchemy and with spiritual transmutation, it's all about reclaiming that energy and repurposing it. Remember, in the last segment, we talked about energy cannot be destroyed, it just moves from one state to the other. And we're going to be talking more and more about moving that state and sharing. I'll be sharing some personal stories, and I hope that if this resonates with you, you are going to do the same in the chat feature below this video. All right, the role of triggers. Your triggers are teachers in disguise. Your triggers are teachers in disguise. Teachers are emotional mirrors designed to show us where we need the most healing and the most remediation, okay? Showing where the energy still needs to be cleared and integrated, all right? If you're still being triggered by road rage, people on the job, and people on the job are just, they're there to trigger you. I'll be honest with you, that is what their purpose is. They're showing you different facets of unhealed portions of yourself. They aren't punishments, they're invitations to grow and to learn to transcend above those triggers. Every time you are triggered, you're standing at a crossroad. Will you react or will you transmute? The reactionary response is the easiest response. It's so easy to meet people where they are at, especially if it's a low hanging fruit or a low vibrational frequency. Um, you know, when they go low, we go high. It takes a lot of spiritual discipline to be able to do that because, you want to keep that same energy, right? Give them the same energy they give you. If we're going to be mad, we're mad forever. So it's not necessarily that. For example, I was in a meeting. I'm always in a meeting where the energy is heavy, even if it's a virtual or Teams meeting or however you do your virtual meetings. I always feel like I'm getting attacked. And on most occasions, I'm sure I am for whatever reasons. And you can see the mental daggers being thrown at you like. So I always keep my crystal infused smudge spray, but today I didn't spray it. So I'm gonna get a little smudge going. So I could feel the mental daggers. The energy was heavy. People want to challenge the way you speak English, challenge the way you articulate yourself, just wanting to challenge your ideas, your goals, so that they can kind of steal them and or stifle them before they even come out. Testing your confidence level, your creativity. And I can feel my body just wanting to be defensive, wanting to just shut it down. I'm human, right? It's been a long day. I don't have time for that. But instead of reacting, I, you know, champion myself, challenge myself to just breathe, calm down, relax, deal with your anxiety, control your breathing, slow down your breathing. And I let that fire burn through my body until it transformed into clarity. That's an example of transmutation. Clarity, because deep down there was anxiety. Deep down, I was breathing too fast. And perhaps when we breathe too fast, sometimes we also speak too fast, right? And don't enunciate as well as we should. Um, there are other, examples because I am triggered quite often. Share with me if you are listening, where you're listening from, and what your triggers are on the job. I'm going to refer to my notes a little bit here. Okay, so how to transmute that trigger? First of all, you got to recognize that you're being triggered, right? You got to recognize that and validate the feelings and emotions that are coming through, whether they are through a Teams meeting virtually or whether they are face to face. There's a few steps that you can do to transmute a trigger. Very first one is just pause and breathe. Okay, pause and breathe, and during that breath work, reflect. Feel it fully, no judgment. What is this I'm meant to feel? What is it I'm meant to learn? Why is there a lack of mental clarity? Sometimes those mental clarities are spiritual attacks. I will not lie. They are spiritual attacks. People are mentally or spiritually trying to get into your realm, your energy, and derail you, scramble your thoughts. It happens more often than not. Pause and breathe. Be in that moment, feel it without any judgment. Okay, number two, name the emotion. This is anger. This is anxiety. This is jealousy. This is envy. This is fear. Naming it brings it into your consciousness. And then reclaim the energy. I choose to turn this emotion into wisdom. I choose to turn this low vibrational energy into peace and power. I send to those who are on this call with me or who are at this meeting with me, I send to them peace. I send to them tranquility. I send to them clarity, acceptance, and love. And when you do that, the fire within you no longer consumes you. It fuels you because you're operating out of love. You're operating off of a different frequency that's not filled with anxiety and stress. It's not filled with trying to be combative with those who are sending you those mental daggers. And I know it's difficult. I have had to practice what I preach often, and sometimes it's not easy to do because it seems like there could be a collaborative spirit. They don't even need to talk about what they're going to do. When spirits decide to conspire against you, you're the positive energy, you are the light. They know how to come together as if they had a meeting before the meeting that you two are on, or you all are on, the three of you, however many are on that meeting. Like minds conspiring together. And they, depending on how powerful the energy is, determines its impact on you and how you really have to focus and be very intentional about transmuting that energy into something powerful. Typically, when you've got an audience of 4 or more people and they all are carrying the same vibrational frequency, which is typically lower, you've got to work a lot harder on transmuting that energy. And the highest vibrational frequency is love. And so you've got to send love to them, peace, clarity, acceptance, abundance, in order to receive it back or to disarm that negative energy and transform it and transmute it. Integration and call to action. Okay, you are the alchemist of your own emotions, right? You have to be able to transform your own emotions before you can transform the energy of others, right? You have got to become the consummate alchemist of your own energy, your own emotions. I encourage journaling, right? Writing down how you feel emotionally and how you're feeling in the moments in which you have these highest levels of emotion. What emotion is asking to be alchemized this week? Anxiety, frustrations, feeling like you're not enough, self-worth. Um, Put your answers in the comments, okay? What emotions are requiring you to are asking to be alchemized for you? What are you needing to alchemize? Let's do it collectively as a community. Um, for those of you who are ready to master your journey in spiritual alchemy, always feel free to reach out to me. My website, if you just want to be nosy and look, it's www.spiritualtransmutation.org. Okay? All right. The Phoenix Code. We're going to talk about that. Of course, anytime we're talking about Phoenix, we're going to be talking about rebirth. Re, re, that's a tongue twister. Rebirth through awareness. Awareness is key for transmutation. You have to be aware of your energy, what belongs to you, and what doesn't belong to you. What is someone else's? You always want to pray and ask any energy that belongs to you is welcome to come in. Any healed energy that belongs to your ancestors for guidance, spiritual guidance, welcome that healed energy, okay? All right. Next up, we're going to talk about more about the rebirth and transmutation process. All right. We've got every spiritual death is a rebirth disguised as chaos. Let me say that again. Every spiritual death is a rebirth disguised as chaos. All right. The phoenix symbolizes transformation through destruction. And I don't know about you, but every time there is a karmic cycle ending or some type of elevation, spiritual elevation, mental elevation, physical elevation, there's always some kind of crisis. There's always some type of breakdown. There's always some type of tower, if you will, where things are collapsing in order to be remade and rebuilt again. With the phoenix symbolizing rebirth and transmutation and transformation through destruction, we know that we've got to allow something to end in order for us to experience a spiritual growth. You can't take everything with you into the next version of your life, and you can't take everyone with you in the next version of your life. Some things must burn away. Parts of you must metaphorically dissolve, okay, or transmute, right, in order for you to go on to the next level. With Pluto and Venus, many of us are feeling the energetic pull to liberate ourselves from outdated systems. That could be jobs, beliefs, relationships, and step into new forms of purpose. For those of you who feel compelled to leave a job, put it in the message so that we can talk about it. Some of you are feeling compelled to leave a home, leave a location, relocate, leave a relationship, a marriage, a friendship. There are different things that are happening. Some of you, those things are going to happen unconscientiously, right? You're going to find yourself drifting further and further away from those friends that you had for a lifetime, but you never really connected. You haven't been connecting a lot lately. Like you call each other over the phone, but even the conversations are more sparse or few in between, in which you really have an in-depth conversation with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whomever, because you feel that shift. You feel your purposes are not aligned, right? And they just that relationship has come to an end and close of a cycle, right? The process of rebirth, renewal, reconstruction, restoring is never easy. It's actually very stressful, sometimes painful, but definitely powerful, okay? There are stages to rebirth. You have the collapse, void, and renewal. With the collapse, we already know what that is. Everything just falls to crap. Everything just falls apart bit by bit. The old you, your ego, if it dies and you're going through a spiritual reformation or a spiritual elevation or ascension, your ego has to die. All of those things that are materially you have to fall apart, and you have to examine who you are, what resonates for your highest good, your highest purpose. Void silence, uncertainty, and shadow. Um, some people consider it the dark night of the soul, doing your shadow work, whatever you want to call it. But when everything collapses, you're left with yourself, your naked, unadulterated self, who you are, the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror. Renewal. After you have faced your darkest fears, your darkest side, your shadow self, your insecurities, all of the things that have been weighing you down, you have this sense of renewal. You know, that whole void process can be, it could be cycles long, it could be years long, it could be months long, it could be decades long, depending on how good of a student you are. If you want to keep yourself in a cycle of abuse, a perpetual misfortune, anger, frustration, and bad relationships without doing the work and understanding why you're put into those positions, or you find yourself in those positions, you're choosing that for yourself, then that whole void process can last a long time before you get to that final stage, which is renewal. New clarity and direction appear, the closing of a cycle, new beginnings for you. The void isn't punishment, it is incubation, basically. You know, separating yourself, isolating yourself, insulating yourself, incubating yourself away from all things material and getting into the true purpose of who you are and who you're meant to be. All right, let's do a little bit of reflecting. Okay, I want you to close your eyes and inhale. Imagine breathing in light. Exhale. Release everything that isn't yours to bear. It doesn't serve you. Release all the stressors of today, the things that you did wrong, the things that you could have done better. Let it go. Just relax and breathe and know that you did your best. Some things may not have come out right. The wording may not have come out right. The decisions may not have ended up in your favor, or the decisions may not have produced the results that were desired. It's okay. You did the best that you could with this day. Bring it to a close. Accept what is. Accept what is, and let go that which is not yours to continue to bear.